What a pleasure, what an honor. I want to make sure I have this lined up right. I just found out while I was a little bit late that I have some timings on these things that I didn't expect to have. But let's just see if we can we can get through it. Can you see the screen? Yeah. Okay, we're
Yep.
good. And everyone can. Excellent, excellent. So if I have to like go back like that, see that that's not supposed to happen. I'm going to let it happen though. And just a little bit about this presentation. And just to let you know, I mean, this is the San Diego version, right? And this is what we are doing and what we have done. It's not all the stuff we're doing now. We couldn't possibly. We are a version of a literacy coalition. We're in San Diego. We represent this network that you see of 34 affiliated youth, adult, and family literacy programs. So these are our primary customers. And if you check out, some of the work from the other coalitions that are out there or around you, they may have a different model. Ours is very literacy program focused. We say that they are our primary customers, and at the same time, the community is also our a primary customer, and the cause, of course, is really important to us. What these programs count on us for is to keep literacy in the public eye. That there are 34 of them. It is confusing. It's confusing to the media, and so the media knows to contact us. We do have a literacy referral line. It doesn't get used as much as it used to. I mean, we used to get a lot of phone calls, and then we used to get emails, and now it's like people are kind of self-referring. We think, but we like doing the referrals because we know we're going to be able to provide people with information and get them to the right program the first time around, because any little thing can be an obstacle to them following up. So, by the way, anytime, just stop me if you have questions. But we have created a handle, a banner, an identity for the literacy effort in San Diego County. So we're not the city of San Diego. It's pretty big, and these programs are either very community focused or they're countywide. And like I said, it's a whole diverse, a whole range of literacy services, from book giveaways to reach out and read, pediatricians, adult literacy, library-based literacy programs, adult basic education, ESL institutions, nonprofit organizations, on and on and on. So happy to answer questions about them. But they allow us to represent them. And here's just a picture of one of the meetings. This one picture was taken actually at the San Diego Public Library. Um, I know that we have, God, I'll come back to this because we did produce a documentary called Voices and Faces Literacy in San Diego. It's 13 minutes long. It's 13 profiles of adult literacy students. We did this about 10 years ago, and let me tell you, you're still going to need tissue. But we were able to get this thing, had a price tag of about $25,000. We had a person step in. We only raised 5,000 for it, and we had the producer who wanted to do this project, and then other people who invested. So if we have time, be happy to share it with you. Otherwise, go to YouTube and then look for Voices and Faces Literacy in San Diego, and have a look at this thing. Like I said, it's pretty strong. One of the questions, by the way, that this brings up, right now I'm having a conversation with three other literacy coalitions in California, which either they're new or I didn't know they existed, or somewhere in between maybe. They're in Sacramento and in Oakland, and the new one is the one in Santa Barbara. And as I've looked at what they're doing, what their focus is, we just all met for the first time. They are very much into youth literacy. Now, we come from 1986. We come from adult literacy. We've had that focus, and now we've evolved into more of the literacy people, but we still kind of have that adult literacy profile to us. And if you're doing this work, think about what you want to do. Given what's taking place in the national discussion, the science of reading, I don't know how hip everybody is to all that, the Reading League, etc., and how you feel about it. Um, these three other literacy coalitions are very youth literacy focused, and very much science of reading advocates, and so are we. But you won't see that if you look through our materials. However, we're seriously considering going there and really putting our staff down, putting our flag down, our banner, and to say, we stand for science of reading. There shouldn't really be any controversy about that. I don't want to spend too much time about it. Sometimes it gets emotional. People don't understand that it's not phonics, and it's not anti-whole language. It is the science of reading. It's a safe place to be. So just something for your consideration if you have a coalition or if you want to start one or if you're just online today because you're interested to see how people advocate for the cause in their community. Are there any questions? I'm not
Yeah, I
looking at the
mean,
chat.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, so first off, I have a couple questions to say. So with the video, like how you say it's 10 years old, how many more years you think you got out of it before it starts to feel out of date in terms of part of your advocacy and outreach?
Yeah. Good question. All I can talk about is today. I think as long as we have the challenge of adult literacy uh, in our communities, that this thing's going to hold. It's going to hold. Look at it. I mean, it might as well be something that was developed last week.
Mhm.
And so it is purely these testimonials and so not looking that far ahead, but I appreciate the question, Eric, because I don't want to be showing stuff, and
Yeah.
and believe me, I come from I come from a long ways back, and a little bit more conscious that the world has changed, and it's changing faster and faster. I have to feel like I've fallen behind,
Mhm.
and it's hard to keep up. Just the things that are happening with the technology. I do understand AI. I'm not using it, but it's a whole new world. But I'm going to tell you that as we keep saying no stories without data, no data without stories. Here are the stories, and like I said, they're powerful. And
And
yeah,
what are some ways that you use the video? Because yesterday we had a session on sort of prioritizing advocacy goals for us as an organization in New Jersey. And one of the things that was floated was like, videos that are the length of, just a couple minutes long that can go on TikTok, and can reach people via social media. Do you have any suggestions for how to most effectively use a video to
yeah,
raise
that's
awareness?
and that's a great. You've already made a great point, and that is that people want things quick and not down and dirty, but they want them quick. I mean, if a person has to click more than two times on something, they're going to move on, and so you have to get that message out rather quickly. But this documentary, I use it in presentations. So if I'm
Mhm,
doing a 30-minute piece, I will show it there.
mhm,
Some programs have used it for tutor training, and
mhm,
I think it's strong for that. But in terms of something that you would have, let's say, on your social media, maybe you just say, hey, you might want to look at this. It's 13 minutes long. That is long. We have just produced, by the way, and I don't know if I think it's in this presentation, six new 60-second um, testimonials from volunteer tutors. I'm happy to share those. And these are so nicely done, and they feature young people as tutors, people tutoring children, people tutoring adults, and they're short, and they're short. They're a minute in length, and we're going to start hitting real hard with sharing these. Nicely done. We didn't have to pay a whole lot. Just relationships we have in the community. This is probably a underpriced $3,000 project. I would say that's pretty cheap. I'm sure it's more than that. We're paying $1,000. So
but it's a
uh,
professional so it
oh
looks
yeah,
professional and it looks really nice.
I have to tell you. I mean, I think I have one of these loaded up, so I'll share it with you. If we have a minute for that. But well, I'm saying professional. There's a group called David's Heart Foundation, and these are at-risk youth, teenagers, young adults who are going into sound engineering careers, video production, music production, and and so they do these jobs. but they're amazing. They're amazing. And these young people, they're getting jobs as sound engineers.
Yeah, good.
So it's
Well,
something
and
to do.
the last
Yeah.
thing I'll just say in passing, it makes me, made a note to myself. I have a slightly different perspective on the science of reading. So,
Yeah.
but it makes me think that in New Jersey, maybe in the fall, we could organize that, NJALL should organize a webinar on what does the science of reading debate mean for adult education and adult literacy in New Jersey. So, if people are interested
Oof,
in that, we could
yeah.
kind of pull that together.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And I'll tell you this, just in the course of me minding my own business, I have heard from, I really am not minding my own business. In the course of having a conversation about science of reading, it has actually been the adult educators who, mm, because they're typically not in the position of teaching reading. No, right, at least in our circle, adult education is transition into maybe high school diploma programs. I know a lot of ESL and such, but helping people get up to that community college level, whatever the case might be. Um, so I don't know that they're as close to it as maybe somebody who went to college to be a teacher in elementary school, kindergarten, first, second, third grade. And so what the people I've talked to, they kind of pick up on stuff and they think it's phonics. And look, I'm telling you the phonics people, yes, have to be thrilled that the science of reading people are saying, hey, you need to have a structured program. You need to have certain things in it, and it doesn't mean you don't have the whole language pieces, etc. Yeah, it just means that here are these things that should be an element, and the phonics is essential. I mean, that's what the science is showing. And so, in the conversations I've been having, is I'd really like to protect the purity of the science. There are people who come to, in the conversation, they say, well, the pendulum's going to swing the other way. Oh, the pendulum's swinging again. And I'm like, we're having the wrong conversation. I
Mhm.
understand the reading wars and I understand the pendulum. That is outside the science of reading. And I just keep going back to that as a safe place. And so, in the conversation, when people have preconceptions about methodology, uh, take them to a place that where they're welcome and they can look for themselves about what is evidence based and such. What the research is saying works best for kids.
Mhm.
It's just hard for people who maybe have invested in a lifetime of reading recovery, etc., which we've learned a whole lot about what happened with the data there. Those of you maybe who have tuned into sold a story, that whole piece, look that up too. It's hard for people to deal with. Maybe they weren't doing the best things. A lot of teachers are saying it doesn't feel like we're doing the best things, and then they find out, that they maybe weren't equipped as well as they could be. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time
Yeah.
on that because I say it sometimes gets to be a religious war,
Yeah.
and now things start
Yeah.
things start getting messy. But the whole idea of a reading war is just we don't have to come uh, from that perspective. I mean, let's look at what's best for the kids and their parents and the adults out there. I mean, let's do that. You know, it's noble.
Mhm.
Anyway, we've been quite fortunate since COVID to come into donations of books. I'm talking 370,000 brand new books, primarily for children. And this happened because of COVID, because warehouses were backed up and nothing was moving. So the publishing companies were donating these books in the truckloads to foundations so that could pay for the shipping. In San Diego, we're not scared. We're not scared, man. We took 3 trucks out the gate. That's 105,000 books, and we needed a lot of help sorting through them. And we have 20,000 books coming in next month. This is going to end. We work with a particular foundation that somehow figures out how to get these books. I think some of them come through First Book. But we were well positioned because we are the coalition, not the literacy program. The program people have to do the program stuff, and we have, things that we can be responsive to. And so here's just a picture of one of the things that happened. Again, us being in a position to rally our partners so that we could take these books and bring them into the community. I was actually quite fortunate to be in the front of this. My organization was, and people asked about who else is out there because we were talking at that time back in 2020 about 1.5 million books, and I still have my connections in the national coalition arena. Like I say, you've talked to Greg Smith. I mean, we gave this foundation connections to all the big coalitions, all the big city coalitions. Some of them turned down the books. Some of them turned down the books. I was ready to make phone calls to the mayor's offices of some cities that will remain unnamed, but you know, how could you do this? 350,000, 370,000 bucks. That's over going on $4 million worth of books. And let me tell you, it's still not enough. Not for San Diego. But anyway, again, this is advocacy, and there's different ways to look at it. This is our financial literacy superheroes competition that we do with the Comic Con Museum, and we've done this for 3 years. We're running short of sponsors. We may not be back next year, but this is a thing again. If we're talking advocacy, that brought some visibility to the cause, engaged with the local newspaper, and with again Comic Con Museum, which is international, really, and and engage young people in something that's probably not everybody's favorite topic. You know, financial literacy, teaching a financial literacy message using comic book themed artwork. So that was this year was our third year. A little bit smaller, but more fun, bigger attendance at the award ceremony.
That Jose, can you go back to that last slide?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that makes me think, I know that there's at least like two different anime conventions in New Jersey. And so it makes me wonder like what relationships in New Jersey we could build with. They're not nearly as big as Comic-Con. Comic-Con is huge, right? But sort of connecting to non-traditional partners when it comes to advocacy. Right. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and there's a lot
I,
of younger people that are very interested in advocacy. So if we go to them at like a manga or an anime show, that might be, a new venue for us to explore.
just drawing in new audiences. Sometimes it's the foodies, and then right here, teens who love comic books. And I don't want to mislead you. There's what we have in San Diego is the Comic Con Museum. If you come to Balboa Park, call me. I'll show you around, man. Take you on a harbor cruise. Um, I'm serious. We have the Comic Con Museum, and so we did this with the Comic Con Museum. We would love to do something with Comic Con. Now, Comic Con is enormous, and it is international, and San Diego is the home base, and people come here and probably going to be here for another 10 years. Um, and we're working on that because if we can make the right connection, this could be really big. So I think your idea, Eric, is a good one to especially here. I think an opportunity for the anime people to be engaged in something that is art based, but also educational. And so, like I said, we went to financial literacy. I should have. I don't know if I gave you. No, I didn't. We have a podcast, Eric. We need to get you on our podcast. I don't know. Have we done that yet? We've had two of them. One of them was called the Literacy for All radio show. That lasted for 3 years, and then the company shut down.
You had me on that one.
Okay,
And yeah.
so we're shut down for a bit, and then somebody said, "Hey, you'd like to have a podcast?" And so we're with a group called Cloudcast Media, and the Gapminders is it is about filling gaps, bringing in community leaders to talk about what they perceive to be community challenges, but with an emphasis on literacy. So we do this with United Way. I did not know that even with the Literacy for All radio show, I never thought in my whole life I would be behind a microphone interviewing people. And it's just a conversation, so it's not that hard. But on the Gapminders, we've done over 110 interviews, and going strong. And on a weekly basis, one of these episodes drops, and people get to hear from somebody they know from the community. They hear what their concerns are, and they hear about literacy. And so it's another way for us to try to keep literacy in the public eye. We have, we just don't have the money for it, but we have talked about doing something called the Literacy Index. And it's a great concept, but it would cost about $1.5 million to do. We just don't have that. We're having trouble keeping our doors open. We're not a literacy program. We're a literacy coalition. We do not provide direct services. That's out of bounds. So, what was I going to say? Oh boy.
While you're
Uh,
gathering your thoughts, I mean,
yeah.
for the folks here in New Jersey, how might how might a podcast or similar structure help with our advocacy efforts? Right. I don't, as an organization, NJALL, we have even less resources than Jose does. So we're not in a position to, do a once a week podcast, but do you see a role for something like podcasts and advocacy in New Jersey in raising consciousness or connecting to people?
And I would say, if blogs are your thing, why wouldn't a podcast be? You
Yeah.
could set up your own podcast pretty. I know people that just they do podcasts and they buy the equipment and they post their links on and they have an audience. So
Yeah.
they call it the People's Radio. You can select your own programming.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank you for the timeout, Eric, because I remember now what I was going to say. It was the literacy index. You tell people, 34% of fourth graders attending school in San Diego County are not meeting the standard for reading, and they go, "Wow, that's a lot of people. That's sad." And then they go back, they drink their coffee, they go to work, they play basketball, whatever, and it doesn't stay in the public eye. And the idea behind the literacy index is to create a scale of measure of literacy progress in the community. That would cost a lot of money. But the idea being, look, when you open up the paper in the morning, and hopefully you still do, or have your online newspaper, do you check the weather? Do you check the stock market? Do you check the literacy index? Now, literacy index would be harder to check because change is not going to happen that fast. Stock market is changing at this very second, and so is the weather, but not literacy. So something you could do monthly or quarterly. But we just, in exploring this, we just saw that it was going to cost too much money to do this in a semi-scientific way. But I only bring it up to you because of the purpose of, I think, this conversation we're having right now, that as advocates, you want to keep this cause in the public eye. You want people to take action. And so maybe hopefully we're giving you some ideas. The Gapminders is one of those things that helps us to check in with people. Um, Festival of Books, a special day once a year. Stop that. And, and the newspaper, our newspaper has been sold so many times. We did the Festival of Books last year. We've done it for a few years. The Union Trade Union does not want to do the Festival of Books this year, and so we're all kind of figuring out how we can do this without the newspaper. But it's quite a day. How many of you know who Bernie Taupin is? Raise your hand. Bernie Taupin. All right. And so he was there last year. He wrote a book, and I got to meet Bernie Taupin. And so it's bringing in folks at that level. But a community celebration around books. It was at University of San Diego. It was enormous. It was beautiful, but it's not going to happen this year. Not on that scale, but something. Just an idea for you to convene. I'll tell you, just have a look at it if you didn't know this already. The poor bookstores out there. Um, they're just Amazon is a bad word to them. People just get on, they order books, and here you got these little stores that are just trying to stay open. They're beautiful places. You know how we are about our bookstores. And so they take the lead on this festival and very invested in it, and they put a lot into it. They show up, they look beautiful, people come and get to celebrate books. So just
So
something.
Jose, as part of that festival, right? It's like a sort of general celebration of books and reading and that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. Is there explicit adult literacy, either programming or announcements that are within the Festival of Books?
that's us. So we have a big presence there. Typically, we come in with a bunch of books to give away to kids or Dr. Seuss swag. We're the home, of course. San Diego is where um, Dr. Seuss lived in La Jolla. San Diego, the Dr. Seuss Foundation and Dr. Seuss Enterprises are in San Diego, so we get a lot of their swag. They donate it, and they're trying to move it, like other stuff. And so we're there. We're handing out literature, talking to people, engaging the kids in activities, and all. So that's we're one of the sponsors. So we're really going to miss this event.
Right.
But yeah, good question.
I guess so. What I was thinking is like I know like I have a friend that like helps run like the Brooklyn Book Festival, and like our town, like a lot of towns has like one book, one town, or one
Hmm.
town, one book kind of
Yeah,
thing.
we have that.
Um, and I don't know if any towns have done like books that are like, I don't particularly like the term, but like high interest, low level, like books that are designed for adult literacy learners, like to be in the festival or to be sort of like promoted like as part of the book.
Well, they were present. There were other book. I don't want to say alternative bookstores because you
Mhm.
have your bookstores, right? And then you had Spanish language books, high-low books. I mean, you had a real mix.
Okay.
I mean, and not all these groups were bookstores; they were just booksellers,
Mhm.
and they were present too. So you saw everything at this. So if you want a good idea, and I think this is a good one, visit your bookstores in your community and ask them if they're interested in something like this because it gives them some visibility that it gives them additional visibility. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And
Is it, has anybody
just
on the call in New Jersey done anything like that in the state, like at a book festival or like a townwide book thing to connect it explicitly and directly to adult literacy programming or adult education programming?
anyway, there's
I've heard the big
opportunity out
silence.
there.
Yes.
There's opportunity. We put on a reception every year. I couldn't find my 2023, but we it's a major donor reception, except the major donors don't show up anymore. So we just kind of have a year-end celebration of our literacy advocates, and we have what we call the Literacy Hall of Fame, and we have inductions and such, and just a way to pass the torch and highlight people who have made outstanding contributions. So just another thing there. If you don't mind, let me see if I can make this happen. I can show you one of the volunteer recruitment videos. Let me know if you can't hear this. Sometimes you have to go out and back in again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is it opening on your end, Jose?
yeah,
It's
can't
not.
hear it.
No, can't see it either.
Oh, okay.
I think you might have to change the screen that you're
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah, hang on. Hmm.
Greg, in Florida, have you done any of this stuff with like book festivals or book fairs and connected them directly to adult ed and adult literacy?
Not too much, no. We've
Hey,
been the
Greg.
beneficiary of a few events where, like author events, and we featured authors ourselves. But the one book, one community, I know it's being done throughout Florida, but we haven't really been
Hmm.
connected to that.
Hmm.
So, Greg, I just noticed that you're here. How you doing?
And okay,
Uh,
say,
there's other people. I'm not looking at the names. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. Yeah, we have one book, one San Diego. It's actually led by the PBS station here.
Uh-huh.
So let's try it one more time. If not, we'll move on because I know how tricky these doggone video presentations can be. All right, hang on a second. I need to go back to what happened to my presentation. Hang on. La, 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 la.
Greg, what do you guys also have like an adult learner writing contest, right? So it becomes a magazine, and then do you have an event dedicated to it?
We we have a book. It's a hard copy book that we publish annually. I've been doing it for about 15 years now, and we do tie it in with our conference. We just had our conference a couple of weeks ago, so we roll it out at the conference, and we have a number of our authors speak during the opening reception, and then also at our, and I mean, read their essays, I should say,
Yeah.
at the opening reception, opening general session and our annual meeting. So yeah, that's where we kind of just tie it in the rollout to our conference.
Uh-huh. We could see it there for a second, Jose, and then it was gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God. All right, I'm gonna pull it though.
Okay.
Uh,
You know, I think one of the things that's happening, right, is that there used to be like 3 TV channels, right? And 3 radio stations. And if you got your message on those, then you're pretty good, right? But with the bandwidth being divided into so many different places, right? How do you get the eyes that you need, and how do you get the ears that you need, right? So you need to sort of like think strategically about where you're going to show things.
all right, let me get thanks guys. Video is just not a good thing.
Okay.
All right, so here's something that the closest that we get to providing services. It's the Dollywood Foundation Imagination Library Program, and I would say approach with caution. You know, right now we're getting books to 1,200 kids a month, and it costs money. The good news, California has approved funding in the amount of $68 million for 5 years to supplement programs like ours that are generating these enrollments of, in our case, low-income children. We get to control the zip codes. And so, you know, we've opened up about 12 zip codes, and that we know are low-income communities, and that's where the books are going. But it is $26 a year per child with the state money that's cut in half. But with all the publicity, the volume is going up, and you know you have other things that you want to raise funds for, and you have to raise funds for this. And the more successful you are, sometimes the more it hurts financially. But we love this program, and we haven't turned away a child. We're just really careful about how widespread we're promoting this. So another thing for you out there. Little free libraries. With the books that we've been getting, we work with the county library to replenish these. And there are a lot of them in San Diego. I don't know what they're doing in your community. I know you all that are familiar with these, but we have like bicycling clubs that do scavenger hunts using these, and we have people we talk to regularly who come to us for books because you know this is actually one of the homes. I hear from this person all the time. She needs books, and you know you see a lot of use of these, and quite often a shortage of books for kids, but just another way to be visible. This is something we did with the Union Tribune way back when, and you know work with your newspaper maybe to do something that is in their best interest too, right? We haven't done a spelling bee in a bit, but it's an adult spelling competition, which is a little bit different, a lot of fun, quite competitive. You ever want to do one? Uh, Call me because there's opportunity there. We were able to get sponsors for this. These are, of course, the spelling bees.
So as an adult spelling bee, does that mean that there's words that only adults are supposed to be using that you're like spelling?
Oh no, I'll tell you. I mean, that's actually a good angle. Shame on you, Eric. That's a good angle. I'm trying to pause this. There it is. That what we do is because there is that big spelling competition for youth, right?
Right.
The what is that?
Script. The
Scripts.
script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after that competition happens in San Diego for the local schools, we um, we get that list and we get the word color that was used.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so we use the same words. It's amazing. The kids are amazing. Region that Reads is just a dream of mine. We did it a little bit. Greg, you might like this if you didn't already know about this. But when I was with California Literacy, we produced something called Cities that Read. And we had about 160 of 480 California cities that endorsed this campaign. And we were just trying to create a statewide network of cities and mayors who were making literacy a priority and who agreed to certain conditions for being one of the cities that read. It got political in San Diego. We had to call it Region that Reads so that the county people didn't feel left out. I would come back with Cities that Reads. We have 18 cities in San Diego. We calculate the state of literacy in every city. Explain to them who's already in their city. That's a literacy program. A lot of them don't even know that. And ideally, because I never got to do this, ideally how to coordinate a citywide literacy effort. So Council on Literacy is countywide. We're too big. We're not working on the right scale, but the cities, the mayors can take their particular resources, their state of their own coalition, and produce a campaign that's more city based. Love to see it happen. Little San Diego Council on Literacies in essence. And it's really quite interesting. And I'll just tell you the story real quickly, checking my time. That 18 cities, we got all the mayors to sign on, but a couple of them came on reluctantly. They're like, businesses. One city, my last city, I had 17 cities and I needed one more. And the mayor's like, hell no. We have award-winning schools and we have award-winning teachers. And he and I were going back and forth. I said, we're already in your city. Our programs are already providing services there. I stayed on this because I wanted that 18th city. The city clerk, different people would answer, Mr. Cruz, please don't give up. I said, you guys don't want to be that city, do you? No. Our mayor's going through some stuff, et cetera. And we finally got the endorsement, but you should have seen the signature. Like a rip through the paper. Like he did not want to do this, but we got him. We just didn't have the resources to follow up, but we had a liaison from every city in the county. It was exciting. And yeah.
Sorry, guys, finish that, Jose.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, I wish somebody would pick this up. I have sent this out for funding and just cannot get people interested in it. Yeah. But I think it's a good model.
Anybody else on this call from Essex County? I'm in Essex County. Yeah. I get more robo phone calls from County Executive Joe DiVincenzo than I get from anybody else. So at the county level, I just in my head, I'm like, this is County Executive Joe DiVincenzo, and we've got a literacy program starting next week. Like I can hear that in my head.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
Yeah. Well, the smaller the scale, the better. One of the models we always reference is the Harlem Project, and that people came together in this area of need and produced these outcomes, but they worked on a real small scale. In San Diego, we have the Diamond Community, which is not the Diamond Community, and doing some fantastic work there on a real small scale with a lot of community partners. We just want to make the effort smaller. So this is one of those things, and maybe one day we'll do it. But unfortunately, I don't know about all of you, trying to get attention for literacy or adult literacy, which doesn't track as well as literacy for youth. And literacy for youth doesn't track as well because people still think it's the school's job to do this. It's a bit of a challenge in a time when we're dealing with things like homelessness. In San Diego County, homelessness is a big thing. Nobody wants to talk about literacy. They want to talk about what's happening on the border, the flooding that we had on January 22nd, and then the homelessness issue and fentanyl and things that are more crisis and symptom oriented. And that's my real beef with my country, that we really don't do a good job of getting to the root of a lot of our problems. And I used to say, literacy is a root problem. It isn't. There's so much that comes before it, but it's got to be somewhere near there, right? It's something you can be working on the whole time. There's moms that read to their babies -2 months. You know what I mean? I mean, they're reading. The children can read. See, I say this because I didn't know this for a long time. Children can hear their parents at 7 months pregnancy, and their parents could take advantage of that. We can communicate those things in the course of dealing with the root problems. Um, might have more kids succeeding in school, might have a lot of more of what we want. I had to share this. This was the Union Tribune, Dr. Seuss Race for Literacy. It was a big deal for 20 years. It is no longer around anymore. There were a couple things happening. One was the Union Tribune kept getting sold, so that killed the race. Sponsorship fell off. There was a falling out between the Union Tribune and the Dr. Seuss Enterprises people, but we had it for 20 years, and it was a blast. It in addition to generating revenue, it was a big time literacy advocacy event. So if you don't have a walk or run for literacy, and these are it's pretty heavy. I don't know if any of you have done golf tournaments. I haven't. People have scared me off from those. Don't do a golf tournament. That's hard work. This is also hard work, but if you're up for it, just an idea. Just wanted to share some photos. Cool stuff, man. Why we're doing this, right? And I like this. This is one of the books we got to give away. Happy to answer questions.
All right. Thanks, Jose, for both things that you're doing now and things that you've done kind of in the past. And I think you highlight how, you have to be flexible and kind of responsive, right? That like the same funders that you've had forever may not be your funders, the next year or the next month or something. So you, as an organization, you have to think on your feet. So
yeah, and that's Eric. That's where we're behind. Our founders are gone; they've transitioned. Our champions have transitioned. We don't have those founders anymore. Founders are founders. Our champions are, just haven't been able to. My advice is, the coalitions that are emerging right now, the ones that I see are, people that admire our work. We've been around since 1986, but we're fading out. And what's coming in is exciting. I envy the new people coming in because they are founded from at least two of the three in California. Their funding is coming from foundations, so they have a steady funding source. That's one thing, and two, they're focusing on what's happening. If you all are in the circle, and I assume you are, there's 3 documentaries out there that came out about the same time. And wherever you stand on the topic of evidence-based literacy instruction, we have 3 documentaries that are making the rounds. And The Truth About Reading, The Right to Read, and Hopeville. And those are our champions right now. To find out what's going on with those documentaries. We're screening The Truth About Reading in June. We've done about 5 screenings of The Right to Read, which is Oakland based, and want to keep bringing audiences together to have a look at the conversation that's taking place regarding the state of literacy in the U.S. and what we're doing right and what we could do better.
yeah, I mean, I would say New Jersey, we don't particularly have any champions. I don't know if anybody on the Zoom call will correct me, but like, I can't think of somebody at the state level or at the county level who is really like a public face of support for adult education. And I don't know that we have any coalition in the same way. There's people that have to work within the same regional catchment, right, on particular projects or particular grants. But that, like, New Jersey Association for Lifelong Learning is not built to be like a coalition of programs, right? We offer professional development, we could try to do advocacy, but we're not a coalition in that same way.
Mhm. Yeah.
Christian, I don't know if you would agree, but we're not a coalition, right? Like we represent, we try to represent people, we try to reach out to people, right? But we're not functioning as, a group of 30 service providers or a group of like 40 service providers, in that way.
No, and we're service providers under we are Title II, so it's also limited what we can do without ruffling feathers.
Right. Yeah, Jose, Greg, if you could add maybe the testimonial, the URL for the volunteer testimonial.
Yeah, I'm see if I can pull that off. I'll
Okay.
probably it might be easier if I send because it's four of them out
All
of
right. So when you
six.
send me the
Okay.
PowerPoint,
Will you get that out to everyone?
Yeah, I can get it out to everybody.
Okay. All right. Real good.
When I
I had a
send out the
question.
certificate for the session, I'll send out the PowerPoint and
Okay.
the links. Yeah, Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, I was interested, Jose, as a coalition that, had for many years focused on adult literacy. Now that sounds like you're kind of transitioning to a broader mission to include children and children's literacy. Can you share a little bit about sort of the pros and cons of that? I mean, has it taken any attention away from the adult literacy side, since the children's side is so much kind of higher profile, or just what are the pros and cons of going through that process?
Yeah, I've been answering that question a lot more lately, Greg. And not to get it, not to paint the wrong picture. We have been transitioning for a while. However, the real point is this: 34 affiliated programs, probably about 14, 15 of them are adult literacy groups. I've gotten a question from my board chair. You start changing your emphasis and messaging more about youth. It should not take away from the because as John Corkin would say, teach an adult to read is just as important as teaching a child to read. And so we have to remember that that adult literacy is vital to youth success in school. Adult literacy is vital to youth who are our future. Adult literacy is vital to adults who are our today. And we're talking about our workers and today's parents and community members. So how I'm going to have to respond to this, because we're going to get everyone together and have a conversation about producing an initiative that is heavy on public education and youth literacy, that adult literacy is vital to the resources that are needed. And we say it all the time. The parent is a child's first teacher. The home is a child's first school, and to continue to reinforce that, that part of the answer is helping adults with the skills that they need to be that teacher and to be that wage earner. All of those things are no less important. It really is. It really is. The opportunity is there to. These three documentaries that are happening right now, where were those before? We didn't have them. They're happening now, and so I'm just thinking, especially given some of the things that's happening with our organization, we should get behind this to promote the greater cause, and do it in a way that's sensitive to the partners, all the people who are providing services to diverse populations. So it's a little bit, you can hear me, it's a little bit of a tightrope, but we've been doing it all these years, and so far so good. But I think you have to communicate in a good way with your programs, especially your adult literacy programs, as you take this on. Our intent is to do it, and yeah, I mean, I'm having people tell me, don't even ask, and it's like, I don't work that way. you know, we're going to convene everyone. We're going to have a conversation, and everybody is needed. This whole conversation about science of reading and the reading wars, whatever you want to call them, we need everybody on the spectrum. We you know, and there are going to be people who fall off. They're not going to have a rational conversation with you. They have preconceptions about what's taking place and why this is happening. I've already talked to a person at a high state level who says this is political. I said, you just don't understand. Science of reading is not a methodology. And when you're hearing that, you know that there's a lot more education that has to happen. So for all of you who have the job of convening the partners in your community, you want everybody to be at the table with you. It'd be great to just work with the folks who agree with what you want to do, but it's uh, it doesn't have to be that way. I think it could be more impactful. So packaging and messaging and all of those things, relationship building and answering questions and such, being a communicator, those all come into play here. But we need everybody we can get to get behind what we're doing. And like I say, you're not gonna succeed at it, but you know, making it your best effort. I always tell people, lose the battle, win the war. Do whatever you have to do
Yeah.
to bring folks to
All
the
right,
table.
Jose, thanks for some of these examples. Walking away from it thinking about, we were already thinking about, you know, making videos, and I think the idea of like making shorter ones that are multiple, right? So you have multiple messages going out as long as they're thematically consistent. And then trying to reach out to these other sort of locations that may not have traditionally been aware of adult education issues, whether it's a book festival or a cultural festival. So I just dropped the link in the chat for folks that need the PD certificate for this session. Any other questions for Jose?
Just a comment. I love the statistics on your website.
Yeah.
I might steal the idea.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to see a really good one, go to the Santa Barbara Literacy Coalition. That it's just it blows our website out of. I mean, they put the statistics up front.
Yeah.
So I think it's called sbliteracycoalition.org. Santa Barbara Literacy Coalition. Find it. Check out their website.
Right.